big plans for him. I think within the next couple of years, he's going to be a significant part of the main roster.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Mark Izzo, and alongside me, as always, is Dillon O'Brien, and we form the Burning Hammer Boys. We are your hosts of the Burning Hammer podcast. Now, this week is a very special week. I am throwing up the challenge for my Burning Hammer podcast predictions World Heavyweight Championship of the World, but this is not any ordinary match. This is a 3 stages of hell match. Stage 1, NXT Stand and Deliver. Stage 2, WrestleMania Night 1. And Stage 3, WrestleMania Night 2. With that being said, we are going to be releasing 3 episodes this week, one for each stage. So if you're listening to this, that means it's Monday. The next episode is going to come out Wednesday, and then the final stage is going to come out Friday. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that's when we're going to be releasing 3 episodes this week, and they all should be a bit shorter because we are just focusing on the few matches on each card. With that being said, Dillon, do you have anything to say to the beautiful people?
To the Burning Hammer faithful, I will restore honor to the once great sport of professional wrestling podcast predictions. See, there was a time when being the champion of professional wrestling podcast predictions meant something. And now, everyone looks at Mark and sees nothing but a shell of a champion, a shell of a man full of fear, because he is scared, because he knows that he can beat me, but he also knows I can beat him. It takes 2 to tango. And this dance is just getting started.
You see, Dillon, I find it quite, ironic that you say, I'm the shell. Because if you look in the mirror, you are nothing but a shell. You are empty. You have nothing. Without this championship, you are finally realizing what you have. Nothing. You've got no friends. You've got no coworkers. Hell, your own parents don't even like you. You have nothing. And I'm going to make sure that it stays that way after the 3 stages of hell match. And hopefully you will be gone once and for all. Alone, walking the dark halls of the low-budget indies. Performing in front of 5-10 people. And you'll look back and you'll say, where did my career go? What happened? What was the one thing where everything went wrong? And you'll think back to the 3 stages of hell match against me, Mark Izzo II.
I'll see you in hell, Mark.
Indeed, you will. And our first stop in hell is NXT Stand and Deliver. This match card is absolutely stacked, dude. Like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches, which I think is a pretty good amount. Plus, every title is on the line that's in NXT. So, to get us started, Dillon, Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. Who are you taking and why?
This, first of all, very excited for this match. Very excited for Stand and Deliver. I took off work for it. I'm very excited to be watching it. From the beginning, it's my birthday weekend, so I decided to treat myself. I'm gonna stay in the house, just watch WrestleMania weekend, just go absolutely nuts on junk food, and you know what I mean. Let the little kid out of me, and just be a fan for the weekend. But with that being said, I'm very impressed with the amount of build and like animosity and stuff they've been able to bring into this match in a short period of time. Obviously, when you have a segment of someone getting attacked at their home, that's obviously going to add a lot. But it was a great segment, and it was really smart, and it added a lot to a feud that, you know what I mean, didn't have too much time to really build up. And so, with all that being said, I'm taking Grayson Waller. I think part of the reason they brought Johnny Gargano back down from the main roster was to give Grayson Waller a victory, a big victory, but without having to have him win a title or anything like that. Because I think Johnny Gargano can afford to, take a cheap victory to Grayson Waller. A cheap loss to Grayson Waller, and then just go back to the main roster. I'm taking Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I mean that segment where Waller attacked Gargano at his house was really good. It's something we don't get much is these wrestlers interacting in real life, and there's been so many great different segments over the years where we've seen wrestlers interact in real life, whether it's at a grocery store or it's at someone's house, and it's always been really fun. So I'm super happy that they did that, and I think it really helped build up the hype for this match that, like you said, it just hasn't had too much hype because it's a fairly new match, a fairly new feud, a storyline that's been going on. But I agree. I'm taking Grayson Waller because coming off of the loss to Braun Breaker, I feel like he's going to win and then probably he's going to get called up shortly after that. So we're both taking Grayson Waller to defeat Johnny Gargano. And like you said, I don't think this loss would really hurt Johnny Gargano that much. And I think it could set up a storyline even down the line on the main roster once Grayson Waller gets called up. So I think I would be a little surprised if Johnny Gargano beat Grayson Waller because it feels like Waller's been losing a lot recently. So me and Dillon are both taking Grayson Waller. Next up, we have Chase U and Tyler Bate taking on Schism. Winner gets to control Chase U. Dillon, who do you think's coming out on top?
I'm going with Schism. I think Joe Gacy and Schism are doing some great work right now. The addition of Ava Rain to their faction was a great addition. I'm taking Schism, and I think that Schism is probably in the line for like a big push all of 2023.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of Schism, but what I have seen, I really have been enjoying. I think that it's only a matter of time before they get called up to the main roster. And the same thing with like Chase U, like a lot of these talents in NXT that are really starting to find their own. And I think they all would have a lot of success under Triple H's regime on the main roster. So I'm super excited for all of these talents to get called up and to show the world just how good they are and just how good WWE and NXT is. That being said, I think we could be due for a Schism call up somewhat soon. So I'm gonna take Chase U and Tyler Bate. I think Tyler Bate is the X factor here, just because. I mean, the guy's a former NXT UK champion, and I just can't see Schism really controlling Chase U. I don't know what that would really entail, and I just think that Schism is likely to get called up before Chase U. So I think that Schism losing could ultimately just send them up to the main roster. I don't think they're going to win. And then Chase U gets called up somewhat soon. And then I think Chase U is a lot of fun. And then it's sort of like, well, what do you do next if they have control of them? They could dismantle them, but I think they're really good as a team. So I would like to see Chase U stick together, and for that to happen, I think that they need to beat Schism. So I'm taking Chase U. Dillon's taking Schism. There we have it, our first disagreement. Hopefully, there's a lot more to come because if you're not aware, me and Dillon tend to agree on a lot of these predictions, but I think it really just goes to show how, I don't want to say predictable, but predictable some of these matches and the outcomes are. So let's move on to the men's tag team championship match. You have your champions Gallus taking on the Creed brothers and the family. This one's tough for me because I feel like Gallus has had a lot of success in NXT UK. Obviously, they came over to the NXT main brand, and then they're also having a lot of success. But I'm trying to determine if they're going to call up the Creed brothers because they've been praised a lot over the last few months. So, that being said, I think the Creed brothers are going to win the tag team championships at NXT Stand and Deliver. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Creed brothers as well. I don't think they're gonna get called up just yet, and I think that's probably what's gonna end up happening is they're gonna win the tag team titles.
Yep, completely agree. So let's move on to the Women's NXT Tag Team Championships. It is your champions, Fallon Henley and Kiana James, taking on Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. This one seems almost obvious to me. I'm taking Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I've really been enjoying them as a tag team, and they both have been really good on their own, especially Alba Fire, but them together definitely helps this NXT Women's Tag Team division out a lot. Hopefully, they can eventually help the main roster Women's Tag Team division as well. But I'm taking Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I think there's a really, really good chance that they're going to come out on top. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with them as well. I think they've been doing some great work, and I think they've kind of earned it. So I'm going with them.
Let's move on to a match that could potentially steal the show. That is the North American Fatal 5-Way match. It's Dragon Lee making his NXT debut, taking on JD McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov versus Wesley versus one final person, which will be determined tomorrow night on NXT in a battle royal. Dylan, do you have any ideas who could be this final person? Because I've got almost an absurd idea. That's maybe a bit of a hot take, but probably not.
Let's hear it.
So there's been recent reports um, of Triple H wanting to revert Butch back to his Pete Dunne bruiserweight gimmick, but sent him down to NXT specifically, was what's being reported by Wrestling Observer newsletter. So I think that the fifth person in this match could be Pete Dunne. If not Pete Dunne, maybe Dijak, but I don't know. I think it could be Pete Dunne. Hopefully, shortly after that, he just gets called back up as Pete Dunne. I don't know why they feel the need to send him back down to NXT just to call him Pete Dunne again. It doesn't make much sense because he was Pete Dunne in NXT. Why you got to send him down? Everyone knows he's Pete Dunne on the main roster. So,
very weird.
Doesn't make much sense. But who do you think's going to come out on top in this match?
Yeah. So it feels like feels like it's got to be Wesley retaining here. I mean, talk about Wesley was in a. It seemed as if he was gonna kind of he was a part of a tag team and then he got separated and it seemed like he was gonna get kind of like lost in the shadows, but and he just didn't, and he just continued to just perform and shine. And he's been doing a great job as NXT North American champion. And I think this is I think he's gonna get the win here. I really do. It's a pretty bold move to want a fatal fight, like choose a fatal five. You know what I mean? Like he wanted to face as many people as possible, um, and I think that's a really way to put him over and have him be portrayed as an incredibly strong champion moving forward. An incredibly brave champion moving forward is having him getting the win here. So take him, Wesley.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think because like you said, pretty much everyone thought he was probably just going to get forgotten about after everything that happened with his tag partner a few months ago, maybe probably more like a year ago, and he really just established himself as a singles star, which is always good to see because he is a really good talent. I mean, we saw it against his match with Dijak last month. And he's been holding these open challenges over the past couple of weeks. And something I think they've been doing a good job at is showing what like the backstage area looks like during an open challenge, because we never really seen it before. It's usually just someone will just come out, but they showed it like they had a lot of competitors just fighting to try to get out there just for an opportunity at the North American Championship, which is really helping elevate that title as well. We've been talking about how Triple H has been elevating the mid-card titles in WWE, and I think that's a great way to elevate the North American title. Not that it really needs much elevation, but it's always good to add some prestige to it. And I think them just showing those segments backstage of everyone fighting just for an opportunity at that title really helps it out a lot. It's something that I wish after seeing it that they would do on the main roster more, and even in other companies like AEW. That being said, I agree. I'm taking Wesley. I think they're really trying to build up Wesley, and I don't think he drops the title quite yet. I think if not him, maybe Ilya. But I think he could be making the move to the main rosters in the next couple of months. And that guy's just an absolute beast. Which you should be familiar with him, but if you're not, you can go back and watch his matches in NXT, or you can go back even farther and watch his matches in NXT UK, because him and Gunther went to an absolute war a while ago. So you could definitely watch some Ilya Dragunov, because he is that dude. Future Intercontinental Champion, potentially future World Champion in WWE. So the future is bright for a lot of these guys, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this next generation of NXT wrestlers, the next generation of these WWE superstars, it looks bright. It just feels like last year, a lot of these wrestlers in NXT, it wasn't really working out. A lot of them were still sort of finding their way, but ever since Shawn Michaels sort of took over, a lot of them really came into their own. And we'll get into more people like that in a little bit. But me and Dillon are both taking Wes Lee to retain the North American Championship in a ladder match. Moving on to another ladder match. Or that was a Fatal 5-Way, excuse me. Moving on to the ladder match. This is for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. It's Zoe Stark, Tiffany Stratton, Gigi Dolan, Lyra Valkyrie, and a fifth person who is going to be determined on NXT tomorrow night, which will be Indy Hartwell versus Nile versus Sol Ruka. Dillon, who do you think is going to be the final participant out of those three?
My gut tells me Indy, but all I'm saying, and it's no hate on Indy at all, because Indy is incredible as well. I'm a big Indy Hartwell fan, but I feel like Sol Ruka in this ladder match would be really fun.
Yeah, I completely.
So I think there's a better chance that it's Indy, but don't sleep on if it ends up being Sol Ruka.
I think it's absolutely going to be Sol Ruka. I think they haven't known what to do with Indy over the past few months. She should have gotten called up by now.
I figured that's why she would just be in there, is because she should just like be called up by now.
I think they want Sol Ruka's had a lot of success recently. Everyone's really talking about her, and I think this would be the perfect way to showcase her skills. So I think there's the best chance that it is Sol Ruka in this match. And like you said, it's going to be a lot of fun. Who do you think's going to come out on top? In case you didn't know, Roxanne Perez collapsed a few weeks ago, and then they relinquished the NXT Women's Championship, thus this ladder match to crown a new one. But Dillon, who do you think is going to come out on top in this match?
I'm going with Gigi. I think she deserves it, man. I think there's a decent chance that I think Zoe is a sleeper to potentially win. But I also think there's probably a better chance she gets called up soon. Zoe Stark. So yeah, I'm going with Gigi, man. I think the pop would be insane. The crowd would go nuts for Gigi Dolan getting this win. She deserves it. Her promo work as of late has just been like incredible. So yeah, I'm going with Gigi.
Well, looks like we have another disagreement because I'm taking Tiffany Stratton. Give me Tiffany Stratton all day. I think it's really only between her and Gigi. Like you said, I think Zoe's getting called up somewhat soon, and I just don't think Lyra's going to end up winning. And I don't think, whether it's Indy, whether it's Nile or Sol Ruka, I don't think either three of them are really going to win. So I think similar to Sol Ruka, Tiffany Stratton has been having one hell of a year thus far, and even dating back to 2022. I think people are really starting to finally realize how good she is, and she's so good at the character that she's playing. And I think that NXT and WWE are going to recognize that and make her the next women's champion. So, although I will not be upset in the slightest bit if Gigi wins, I just think they're going to put the title on Tiffany Stratton. I think it's her
Do you
time.
think Gigi gets called up soon?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
she's good, dude.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on what they want to do. If they want to like establish her as a singles competitor, they're probably going to do that in NXT before she gets called up. So that could be another reason why she wins.
Yeah, you're right.
But I
It's
think
also
that
true.
there's also just a good chance they could just call her up without giving her much singles experience in NXT, and her sort of finding her way on the main roster, or maybe teaming up with someone on the main roster to help the women's division in WWE. So let's
Gigi
move
and
on.
Liv, I like that team.
That could be fun. Yeah, I mean, so let's move on. Main event. This one's very interesting to me, and this one is definitely the hardest match to sort of figure out because it's gonna determine a lot. You think it's
This is
easy?
one of the harder matches to figure out for like the whole weekend.
Oh, word. Yeah, so it's Braun Breaker, your NXT champion, taking on Carmelo Hayes for the NXT championship match. Now, this one is tough because Carmelo Hayes has been on top of the world. You could make the argument he is the top talent in NXT currently. I think
he is the top, bro. He is.
I agree. I think the loser of this match is going to get called up the Monday night after Mania. So
Me too.
it's tough because like I don't know. What do you think?
So, I mean, like, just point blank, period. In my opinion, I'm a huge fan of Braun Breaker. I think he's been doing great work, and I think like the growth he's had in his title reign alone, how much better he's gotten from the beginning of it to now, is incredible. I don't think he's ready to get called up. I think they have big plans for him. I think he, within the next couple of years, he's going to be a significant part of the main roster. And I mean, like, this is random, but he's in a commercial with AJ Styles, like a Snickers commercial. And it's like, they're not going to make, I don't know. And it's like, hey, from like a young guy in the locker room to a new guy. So if anything, that might be kind of like a hint. Maybe they do plan on bringing him up soon. I don't know if I'm looking too much into that.
I think that's totally what they're going to do, and it just shows how much trust they have in him to be the next guy, because they're not just going to put any NXT wrestler in a Snickers commercial with AJ Styles. Like, we've seen the top WWE superstars, the most recognizable WWE superstars, do these commercials. So I think it just goes to show, like, this guy they think is the next guy. Like, forget about Austin Theory. Like, Braun Breaker, they think is the next guy coming up. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think you're like reading into it too much. I think that Snickers commercial is like a big factor and a big deal into like just to show how highly WWE thinks of him.
So, and it's like the other thing is that it's just like Carmelo is just like the most ready on the NXT roster to get called up, like by far out of any person on the roster.
Yeah.
Like, Carmelo is made for WWE TV, bro. Like, that man is going to be so fucking over. He's him. And he's just that's the other thing is that it's like, dude, how that's what I mean though. It's like I really feel like, how do you have Carmelo lose this match? But I also feel like, are you gonna have? I also feel like it makes more sense to have Carmelo lose and then get called up. So that's where I'm kind of like struggling with it. Is I think that it's more likely Carmelo wins and Braun gets called up, probably. But I think the better move is probably to have Braun win and Carmelo gets called up.
So what is your official prediction?
I'm gonna go with Carmelo Hayes to get the victory here and become your new NXT champion.
Okay.
And I think Braun Breaker is gonna get called up to the main roster, but not gonna be disappointed at all with what happens in this match. And I'm going to be excited for both men to get called up to the main roster. And maybe I'm a little too worried about Braun. Maybe he is ready to get called up to the main roster. I just think I think he might get into like some bigger arenas with, like, I don't know, and go up against guys like Seth and Drew and stuff like that and just be in kind of a little bit over his head.
Yeah. So,
but who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, yeah, I'm going with Carmelo to get the victory here, but not going to be mad with either one. The only way I'm going to be mad is if the loser of this match doesn't get called up on Brawl After Mania.
I completely agree with the fact that would be upset if neither one of these guys gets called up on Raw. However, give me Braun Breaker coming out on top because I think it's mellow.
Dude, I'd rather have that happen. I really would. I'd rather have,
Because that Snickers commercial, like, just going based off, isn't quite ready yet. I think by the end of the year, he will definitely be called up to the main roster. I just think Carmelo Hayes, like you said, he's ready right now. Like, there's no reason for him to stay in NXT any longer. Similar to like Grayson Waller, I feel like he's another person who could just get called up right now.
bro. My thing was,
and
it's like
and it's also like Braun Breaker's like 25, like he's very young, similar to Austin Theory. So I think that, and I think Carmelo's still also very young. I think he's in like his late 20s as well. But I think that does sort of play it does sort of play a factor into like when they call these guys up, because Breaker is so young and you can keep him in NXT just for a little longer. And I think that he will benefit a lot from it. I don't think if you keep Carmelo Hayes in NXT, he's going to really benefit from anything. And I think him losing isn't going to hurt him at all.
Yeah. Not mad at it, so.
Yeah, so there you have it. There's
stage one.
Stage one, NXT Stand and Deliver. We'll call this one something that's not too crazy. Whoa.
Ah!
There we go.
Oh, damn. Mine went away. Give me a sec. You can just start closing out this episode if you want.
Okay. Yeah, so there you have it. Stage 1, NXT Stand and Deliver predictions. We're going to call that one, let's go with a submission match. It's something we don't get very often. It's something to ease our way into this 3 stages of hell. But like I said, Wednesday, Stage 2, WrestleMania Night 1. Be on the lookout for that. And make sure to follow the Burning Hammer podcast on all of our social media. On Twitter, we are at The Burnt Hammer. On Instagram and TikTok, we are at The Burning Hammer. Follow us on Twitch at The Burning Hammer Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening via audio streaming service, make sure to head over to our YouTube channel and you can watch it. We do record these via audio, and make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, drop a like. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we are available wherever you listen to podcasts. So head over there, subscribe or follow, whatever it is your streaming service does. Leave us a review and feel free to drop a comment on there. It really helps us out a lot. That being said, Stage 1 is in the books. We'll see you in 2 days on Wednesday for Stage 2.